She had no date, and no friends at the wedding. Then the groom's millionaire friend SAT, beside her. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now let's dive into the story. The next day, Emma woke up with a mix of embarrassment and confusion lingering in her mind. The events of the previous evening kept replaying over and over again in her head. She had sat at the wrong table, made a complete fool of herself, and run away in a rush. Yet, for some reason, she couldn't shake the feeling that something about that encounter had felt different. She had never had such an easy conversation with a stranger, especially someone as strikingly handsome and well-dressed as him. As she stood in front of the bathroom mirror, adjusting her second-hand dress and pulling her hair into a messy ponytail, she couldn't help but think about him. Who was he really? Why had he smiled at her like that when she was practically falling over herself in embarrassment? And why did she feel this odd pull to see him again? It had been a mix of nerves and self-doubt that had driven her to run, but now, as the morning sunlight streamed through her apartment window, she regretted not sticking around to explain herself. She took a deep breath, trying to shake off the feeling, but it was hard. It wasn't just about the awkwardness. It was about the way he had made her feel like she mattered, even for just a few minutes. She wasn't used to that. Later that afternoon, Emma went about her usual routine. She worked a few shifts at the diner, served food with a polite smile, and chatted briefly with the regulars. But her mind kept drifting back to the wedding. The man she had mistaken for Kevin was still fresh in her thoughts. And then, as if the universe was answering her silent question, her phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. "Hi, Emma. This is Liam. I was the guy you met at the wedding last night. I know it was a mix-up, but I'd really like to see you again. Would you be interested in grabbing coffee sometime? No pressure, just a chance to make up for the awkwardness. Let me know." Emma stared at the screen, her heart skipping a beat. Her stomach twisted. It was him. It was really him. Liam. The man who had sat next to her at the wedding. The one she had completely embarrassed herself in front of. She reread the message several times, her thoughts racing. Why would he want to meet again? Was he just being polite, or was there something more? She felt a rush of nerves and excitement at the same time. She glanced at the time. She had a few minutes before her next shift at the diner. But the idea of meeting Liam again made her feel something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. She quickly typed out a response. "Hi, Liam. I'm really surprised to hear from you. I'd love to grab coffee. Thank you for reaching out. Let me know when works for you." She hit send and sat back, her heart pounding in her chest. It was a simple reply, but it felt like a small step forward. A small chance to fix the mistake she had made. The rest of the day passed in a blur. She served coffee, wiped down tables, and kept herself busy, but she kept checking her phone for a response. Finally, after what felt like hours, Liam replied. "How about tomorrow afternoon? I know a little cafe downtown. It's quiet, perfect for a low-key coffee. Let me know if that works for you." Emma smiled, feeling a flutter in her chest. It was happening. She was going to meet him again. Tomorrow. She couldn't help but feel nervous, but also a little excited. The next day, Emma walked into the cafe Liam had suggested, feeling out of place in her casual clothes compared to the polished ambience of the place. The cafe was small, with wooden tables and soft lighting that created a cozy atmosphere. As she stepped inside, she spotted Liam right away. He was seated by the window, looking more relaxed than she had seen him the night before. His hair was tousled, his suit replaced by a simple shirt and jeans. He looked up as she approached, and when their eyes met, he smiled warmly. "Emma," he said, standing up to greet her. "It's great to see you again." Emma felt her nerves melt away as he pulled out the chair for her. "Thanks for meeting me," he added as she sat down. They exchanged a few pleasantries, and before long, the conversation picked up easily. They talked about their lives. Emma shared more about her struggles, her dreams of becoming a full-time artist, and how she had always felt like she didn't quite fit in. Liam, on the other hand, spoke about his work in tech, the challenges of building a company, and how disconnected he often felt from people. As they talked, Emma couldn't help but notice how genuine and unpretentious Liam was. There was no arrogance, no air of superiority. He was just real, and it made her feel more at ease than she had in a long time. They shared laughs, and for the first time since meeting him, Emma felt like she could be herself without pretending to be someone else. She even found herself opening up about her dreams in a way she hadn't with anyone in a while. As the conversation drew to a close, Liam leaned back in his chair, studying her with a thoughtful expression. "You're different from the people I usually meet," he said, his voice quieter now. "You don't try to impress anyone. You just are." Emma felt a warmth spread through her at his words. She wasn't used to receiving such honest compliments, and it felt good. But just as the moment seemed to deepen, Liam's phone buzzed, and he glanced down at it. "I'm sorry, I have to take this," he said, quickly excusing himself. As he walked away to answer the call, Emma sat there, reflecting on the afternoon. She had come into this meeting feeling unsure, but now she felt something else. Something more hopeful. She didn't know where this would go, but she knew one thing for sure. She was glad she hadn't run away this time. The next few days passed quickly, and Emma found herself thinking about Liam more than she expected. After their coffee meeting, they exchanged a few more texts, each conversation feeling easier than the last. She'd share bits and pieces of her day, and Liam would respond with thoughtful comments, asking about her art or her plans for the future. There was a kind of calmness in their conversations, a level of understanding that made Emma feel seen in a way she hadn't in a long time. As the days went by, Emma started to look forward to hearing from him, and it wasn't just about the excitement of meeting someone new. There was something genuine about him, something that made her feel less alone in the world. One evening, as Emma was finishing up her shift at the diner, she received another message from Liam. "Hey, would you like to go for dinner tomorrow night? I know this great little place by the river, quiet, cozy. I think you'll like it." Emma stared at the message for a moment, her heart skipping a beat. She hadn't expected this. Sure, they'd spent time together at the wedding, and their coffee meeting had gone well, but this felt different. It wasn't just a casual meetup anymore. It felt like something more. She quickly typed a response. "I'd love to. That sounds perfect. I'm looking forward to it." After sending the message, she couldn't help but feel a little giddy. She hadn't been on a proper date in so long, and the thought of spending more time with Liam felt exciting. The next evening, Emma arrived at the restaurant Liam had recommended, a quaint, intimate place by the river. The atmosphere was quiet, with soft lighting that reflected off the water, and the tables were small, perfect for private conversations. She walked in, looking around for Liam. When she spotted him, her breath caught in her throat. He was sitting at a corner table, his usual confident yet laid-back demeanor. He smiled when he saw her, standing up to greet her. "Emma," he said warmly, "I'm glad you could make it." As they sat down, Emma couldn't help but notice how natural it felt. The awkwardness that had been there in their first meeting, even in their coffee date, was completely gone now. It was just the two of them, sharing a quiet evening, enjoying each other's company. "So, tell me more about your art," Liam asked after a few minutes of small talk. Emma smiled, grateful for the opportunity to talk about something that meant so much to her. She described her passion for painting and how it had been a dream of hers to one day open her own art studio. As she spoke, she noticed how Liam listened intently, his eyes focused on her, as if every word mattered to him. It was refreshing. Most people, she'd learned, would only half listen, distracted by their own thoughts or phones. But Liam didn't seem like that. He was genuinely interested in what she had to say. After they ordered their food, the conversation turned more personal. They talked about their childhoods, their families, and what they both wanted out of life. Liam shared that, despite all his success, he sometimes felt isolated. The wealth and status that had come with his career had built walls around him, and he rarely felt like anyone saw him for who he truly was. Emma could relate. She, too, felt the weight of loneliness, even in a crowded room. It was a quiet, raw moment of connection, and Emma felt her walls beginning to crumble, piece by piece. As the evening wore on, Liam reached across the table and gently touched her hand. "I really enjoy spending time with you, Emma," he said softly. His words, simple as they were, made her heart flutter. She hadn't expected this kind of connection. He wasn't just a guy she met at a wedding or a stranger at a cafe anymore. He was someone who genuinely cared. For the first time in a long while, Emma felt her heart open up. It wasn't just the fact that Liam was a successful millionaire or that they had shared some fun moments together. It was that he saw her, really saw her, and that was a feeling she hadn't had in a long time. As the night came to an end, Liam walked her outside, where the soft glow of the streetlights reflected off the river. He turned to her, his expression sincere. "I'd really like to see you again," he said. "How about we do this more often?" Emma smiled, feeling a warmth spread through her chest. "I'd like that too," she replied. It wasn't just a casual dinner anymore. It felt like the start of something more, something real. And for the first time in a long time, Emma allowed herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, this could be the beginning of a new chapter in her life. Over the next few weeks, Emma found herself spending more and more time with Liam. Their coffee dates turned into dinners, and their casual conversations evolved into deep, meaningful talks about life, love, and everything in between. Despite their different worlds, Emma couldn't help but feel an undeniable connection with him. It wasn't just about his wealth or status. It was his kindness, his willingness to listen, and his ability to make her feel like she mattered. She had never experienced anything like this before. As their relationship deepened, Emma started to notice how much she was beginning to care about him. There was something about Liam that made her feel safe, like he was someone she could trust. And yet, despite their growing connection, a small voice in the back of her mind kept questioning whether this was real or just another fleeting romance. After all, what did someone like Liam see in a waitress with a second-hand dress and an uncertain future? One afternoon, as they sat in a small art gallery she had wanted to visit for months, Emma looked at Liam, her mind racing with questions she had been avoiding. "Liam," she began slowly, "I've been thinking a lot about us, about where this is going. You're this incredibly successful, powerful person, and I'm just me. What do you want from this?" Liam paused for a moment, his gaze steady on hers. "I want to see where it goes, Emma," he said, his voice calm but sincere. "I want to know you, really know you. I'm not looking for anything other than that." Emma felt a weight lift off her shoulders as she listened to his words. It was the reassurance she needed, but it also made her realize something she had been too afraid to admit. She was falling for him. She was falling hard. But, at the same time, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing, something she needed to understand before she could fully give herself to him. "Liam, there's something I haven't told you," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "I've been trying to ignore it, but I think it's time to be honest with you." Liam's eyes softened, and he reached out to take her hand. "You can tell me anything, Emma," he said gently. "I want to know all of you." She took a deep breath and began to speak, the words tumbling out before she could stop them. "I'm not just some waitress who stumbled into your life, Liam. I've worked so hard to get to this point, and I still feel like I'm not good enough. I've been scared that you'd see me as someone beneath you, someone who doesn't fit into your world. And I've been afraid that once you realize that, you'll walk away." Liam squeezed her hand, his thumb gently rubbing over her knuckles. "Emma, I don't see you that way. I never have. You don't have to be anything other than yourself with me. I see you, your heart, your passion, your dreams. That's all that matters to me." She looked up at him, feeling a warmth spread through her chest. For the first time in a long time, she felt like she could finally let go of the fear that had been holding her back. She didn't have to be perfect. She just had to be herself. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. The following weekend, Liam invited her to an exclusive charity gala that was being held in honor of a project he had been working on. Emma was hesitant at first. She had never been to such a high-profile event, and the thought of walking into a room full of wealthy elites made her nervous. But Liam reassured her, saying, "You belong there just as much as anyone else. Trust me." When the night of the gala arrived, Emma dressed carefully in a simple but elegant gown, her heart racing as she stood in front of the mirror. She felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. Would she fit in? Would she be judged for being a normal girl from the diner? But when she arrived at the gala, Liam's presence by her side made her feel like she could take on the world. As they entered the venue, Liam introduced her to a few key people, but it wasn't long before they found a quiet corner to themselves. As they stood there, talking and laughing, Emma couldn't help but notice how many eyes were on them. She knew that Liam's status drew attention, but she wasn't used to being the center of it. At first, it made her uncomfortable, but then Liam leaned in, his voice low and reassuring. "Don't worry about them, Emma," he whispered. "None of this matters. What matters is that we're here, together." The night went on, and as the evening drew to a close, Liam took Emma's hand and led her to the dance floor. The music was soft, and as they danced together, Emma felt as though the whole world had faded away. It was just the two of them, in their own little bubble, and in that moment, she knew, no matter the difference in their worlds, no matter the doubts she had, this was real. This was something worth holding on to. As the song ended and the applause from the crowd surrounded them, Liam looked into Emma's eyes, his expression tender. "I'm glad you're here with me," he said softly, his voice filled with emotion. Emma smiled, her heart full. "I'm glad I'm here too," she whispered. And for the first time in her life, she truly believed it. She was exactly where she was meant to be. As the weeks passed, Emma and Liam's relationship continued to grow deeper, their connection strengthening with each passing day. Despite the stark contrast between their worlds, there was an undeniable bond forming between them. Liam had shown her a side of life she had never dreamed of, luxurious dinners, art galleries, exclusive events. But he also showed her something far more important: love and acceptance. Emma found herself opening up more, sharing pieces of her past and her dreams for the future. Liam, in turn, shared his own vulnerabilities. He had always been the successful businessman, the powerful CEO who built an empire from the ground up, but there was a loneliness in his life that no amount of wealth could fill. It was in these quiet moments of honesty that Emma began to see him in a way she hadn't before. He wasn't just a millionaire. He was a man who longed for something more, just like she did. One evening, after a quiet dinner at a cozy restaurant, Emma and Liam took a walk through the city. The night air was crisp, and the streets were filled with the soft hum of evening life. They strolled in comfortable silence, their hands brushing occasionally. It was during these walks that Emma felt the most at peace, like time slowed down and everything else faded away. "You know," Liam said as they paused in front of a small park, "I've been thinking about something. I want to take things to the next step with you, Emma. I know we've only known each other for a little while, but I can't deny how much you mean to me." Emma stopped in her tracks, her heart skipping a beat. She had been feeling the same way, but hearing Liam say it out loud made everything feel so much more real. "What do you mean by that?" she asked, her voice soft but full of curiosity. Liam turned to face her, his expression serious yet gentle. "I think it's time for us to stop hiding from what's between us. I want to build a life with you, Emma. Not just the fancy dinners and the trips, but something real. Something where we're there for each other through everything." Emma's breath caught in her throat. She had always been afraid of opening herself up to someone, especially someone like Liam. She had spent so long hiding behind her art and her insecurities that the idea of truly being vulnerable with someone seemed impossible. But here Liam was, asking for something she had always dreamed of: true love, not defined by status or wealth, but by connection. "Liam, she began, but she didn't know how to finish her sentence. Her emotions were swirling, and she felt overwhelmed by the weight of his words. He reached out, gently taking her hands in his. "You don't have to say anything right now, Emma. I'm not asking for anything to change overnight. I just wanted you to know that I'm here, and I want to be here for you, for us." Emma looked into his eyes, seeing the sincerity there. He wasn't rushing her. He wasn't pressuring her. He was just offering his heart. And in that moment, Emma realized that she had been so afraid of what could go wrong that she had been missing the beauty of what could go right. She had never imagined someone like Liam would be the one to change her life. He wasn't perfect, but he was real, and he made her feel like she could be real too. "I want that too," Emma said softly, her voice steady with newfound confidence. "I want to build something real with you, Liam." As she spoke, she felt a weight lift from her shoulders, a burden she hadn't even realized she was carrying. It wasn't about the material things anymore. It was about the connection, the trust, and the love they were building together. Over the next few months, their relationship blossomed. They traveled together, explored new places, and spent countless hours talking about their hopes and dreams. Liam continued to support Emma's passion for art, even helping her set up an exhibition at a local gallery. He was her biggest cheerleader, and she, in turn, supported him as he navigated the challenges of running his business. It wasn't always easy. There were times when they disagreed, times when their differences felt like too much. But every obstacle they faced only made them stronger, more united. One evening, as they sat on the rooftop of Liam's apartment building, Watching the city lights twinkle in the distance, Liam turned to Emma with a look in his eyes that made her heart race. "I've been thinking," he said quietly. "I know we've been through a lot together, and I want to take the next step." Emma's stomach fluttered as she turned to face him, her heart pounding in her chest. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Liam smiled softly, a hint of nervousness in his eyes. "I want to spend the rest of my life with you, Emma. Will you marry me?" Emma's breath caught in her throat as she stared at him, her mind racing. This was it. This was the moment she had never dared to dream of, the moment when everything she had hoped for, everything she had longed for, was finally within reach. She smiled, her heart full, and said the words she had been waiting to say. Yes. After Emma said yes, everything seemed to change. It was as if the world around them shifted, the promise of their future together filling the air. They spent the following weeks planning, and although the wedding preparations were intense, Emma had never felt more alive. There was excitement, of course, but there was also a quiet peace in knowing that they were building something real, something solid. The whirlwind of engagement, the hustle of working through all the details, seemed like a dream, but it was their dream, one they were building together. As the day of their wedding drew closer, Emma found herself reflecting on the incredible journey that had led her here. From the awkward wedding misstep where she had met Liam to now, standing on the brink of marrying him, it was hard to believe how much had changed in such a short amount of time. She had come from a place of insecurity, uncertainty, and loneliness to find herself in a place of love, trust, and hope. Liam had not only given her his heart, but he had also shown her a world she never thought was possible. A world where she could be herself and still be loved. It was a world where dreams weren't just fantasies, but could actually come true. But despite everything, Emma was still nervous. It was hard for her to completely shake the fear of not being enough, the fear that maybe this fairy tale would one day shatter. She had never allowed herself to dream so big, and now that her dreams were becoming reality, a small part of her wondered if she truly deserved all of this. She had to remind herself that Liam was not just a man of wealth and success. He was a man who loved her, who believed in her, and who wanted to share his life with her. Still, as she sat alone in her apartment one evening, putting together the final touches on the wedding guest list, a wave of doubt washed over her. Am I enough for him? She thought. The question lingered in her mind, and she couldn't help but feel vulnerable. Just then, her phone buzzed, and she saw that it was a message from Liam. I was thinking about you today, the message read. I'm so grateful for everything we have. You're my everything, Emma. I can't wait to marry you. Emma smiled as she read his words. There was something so simple, yet profound, in them. She didn't need to be perfect. She just needed to be herself. And Liam loved her for who she was. The next day, Emma met Liam at a small park near his office. He had asked her to meet him there to talk about the wedding and the future. They sat on a bench, the sound of birds chirping around them, and Liam took her hand in his. You look beautiful, he said with a soft smile. Even when you're stressed about the wedding. Emma chuckled. It's hard not to be stressed with everything going on. But I'm happy, Liam. I really am. Liam's smile grew wider. I can see it. I'm glad you're happy. And I know we've talked about it before, but I just want you to know again. I love you, Emma. I'm all in, with you. No matter what comes, we're in this together. Her heart swelled at his words. It was a reminder that no matter how much fear or doubt crept into her mind, Liam was right there with her, supporting her every step of the way. She felt a wave of gratitude, knowing that she wasn't alone in this. I love you too, she said softly, looking into his eyes. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. They sat together in silence for a while, just enjoying the moment, and Emma realized that all the fears she had been holding on to were starting to fade. This wasn't just a fairy tale. This was their story, and it was real. As the wedding day finally arrived, Emma stood in front of the mirror, taking a deep breath. She couldn't believe how far she had come, from the shy, unsure girl at that wedding to the woman about to marry the love of her life. She thought about how much she had learned about herself, about love, and about the power of vulnerability. When the moment came for her to walk down the aisle, she felt a wave of emotion. She looked up and saw Liam waiting for her at the altar, his face filled with love and anticipation. As she walked toward him, all the doubts, all the fears, melted away. She was ready. This was where she was meant to be. As they exchanged vows, Emma felt the full weight of the promise they were making to each other. It wasn't just about the wedding. It was about the life they were going to build together. A life filled with love, trust, and all the little moments in between. And when Liam said the words, "I now pronounce you husband and wife," Emma knew that this was just the beginning of their forever. Their journey was far from over, but she was ready for it. Together, they would face whatever came their way, hand in hand, heart to heart. After the wedding, Emma and Liam's life together felt like a dream. The hustle of wedding preparations was behind them, and now they were free to focus on their future. Their days were filled with shared moments, quiet mornings over coffee, walks through the park, and evenings spent talking about their dreams, hopes, and fears. Emma had never felt more content. But life, as it always does, had a way of testing them. A few months after the wedding, Liam's company went through a tough period. A major deal fell through, leaving his team scrambling to pick up the pieces. Emma could see the stress building on his face, his usually calm demeanor replaced by a sense of urgency. "It's just business, right?" she asked one evening as they sat in their living room, the soft glow of the city lights filtering through the windows. "It's more than that," Liam replied, rubbing his temples. "This deal was supposed to secure the future of the company. If it doesn't work out, we might be looking at some tough decisions." Emma's heart ached as she watched him. She knew how much his work meant to him, how much he had sacrificed to build his company. But she also knew that he wasn't the type of man to let something like this tear him apart. "We'll get through this," Emma said softly, her voice filled with reassurance. "You've built something incredible, Liam. You're not alone in this." Liam looked at her, his eyes softening. "I know," he said, his voice quieter. I hate feeling like I'm failing." Emma reached out, taking his hand in hers. "You're not failing. You've already done so much. And no matter what happens with this deal, we're in this together." He smiled, a small, grateful smile, but Emma could still see the tension in his shoulders. She knew that the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but she also knew that they could face it together. As the weeks passed, the pressure on Liam continued to mount. He spent long hours at the office, barely coming home except to sleep. Emma did her best to keep their life normal, to make sure he had a quiet place to return to when the day ended, but she could feel the distance growing between them. It wasn't physical distance, but emotional. Liam's mind was always somewhere else, and Emma was starting to feel like she was losing him, even if only for a little while. One evening, after another long day of worrying and waiting, Liam came home late, his face drawn and tired. "I don't know how much longer I can keep this up," he said, dropping his briefcase by the door. "It's taking everything out of me." Emma looked at him, her heart heavy with concern. "You don't have to do this alone, Liam," she said gently. "I'm right here with you, through all of it." Liam met her gaze, and for the first time in weeks, Emma saw a flicker of the man she had married, the man who was strong, yet vulnerable, determined, yet capable of being honest with her. "I don't want to let you down," he said quietly, his voice laced with exhaustion. Emma stood up, walking over to him. She cupped his face in her hands, looking him in the eyes. "Liam, you could never let me down. You're everything I've ever wanted. And we'll figure this out, one step at a time." The words felt like a promise, a reassurance that no matter what the future held, they would face it together. Slowly, Liam closed his eyes and leaned into her touch. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. The next day, Emma decided to do something special for him. She knew he wasn't one for grand gestures, but sometimes the little things meant the most. She spent the morning cooking his favorite meal, roast chicken with mashed potatoes and a simple green salad, and set the table with candles, creating a calm, peaceful atmosphere in their home. When Liam came home that evening, the smell of the meal filled the apartment, and for a moment, he looked as if he had forgotten about everything else. "What's all this?" he asked, his voice surprised but warm. "I thought you might need a little break," Emma said, smiling softly. "You've been working so hard, and I wanted to remind you that I'm here, that we're here together." Liam's expression softened as he looked at her. "You didn't have to do this," he said, but there was gratitude in his eyes. "I know," Emma replied, "but sometimes we all need a little reminder of what really matters." They sat down to eat, and for the first time in weeks, they had a quiet, peaceful evening together. There were no phone calls, no urgent emails, just the two of them, enjoying the simple pleasure of being in each other's company. As the night went on, Liam seemed to relax, the tension slowly melting away. And Emma realized that, while the world outside was full of uncertainty, there was one thing she knew for sure. No matter what happened with his work, no matter how tough the road ahead might be, they had each other. And that, she thought as she smiled across the table at him, was more than enough. The following weeks were a mix of growth and challenges for Emma and Liam. While they continued to support each other, Liam's work continued to weigh heavily on him. The pressure from the failed business deal was still a looming shadow, but Emma could see a change in him. He was beginning to open up more, letting her in on the decisions and challenges he faced. The long nights at the office were still there, but now, he would call her during his breaks, share his thoughts, and remind her how much he appreciated her. In return, Emma did her best to keep their home a haven, a place where Liam could relax and forget about the stresses of the outside world. But even in their shared efforts to make their lives work, Emma couldn't help but notice the subtle distance that had crept between them. It wasn't anything they had discussed, but it was there, unspoken. It was the small moments. The way Liam would retreat into his thoughts when they were together, the way his mind would wander when they were supposed to be relaxing. She could sense it, and it made her question if they were really as connected as they used to be. One evening, after a long, tiring day, Emma stood by the window, looking out over the city. She had just finished dinner, and Liam was in the other room, going through some paperwork. The silence in the apartment felt heavy, and Emma couldn't help but feel like there was something missing. She was no longer afraid to speak up about her feelings, but this was different. It wasn't about fear anymore. It was about wanting to be honest, about wanting to share her heart with Liam. Liam, she called softly, her voice breaking the quiet. He looked up from his desk, his tired eyes meeting hers. Yeah, he replied, his voice gentle but weary. Can we talk? She asked, her heart beating faster. Liam stood up and walked over to her, concern etched on his face. Of course, he said, taking her hands in his. What's on your mind? Emma took a deep breath, gathering her thoughts. I've been thinking about us, she began. About how we've been so focused on everything else, and I don't want to lose the connection we have. I feel like sometimes, we're not really here with each other. You're so caught up in work, and I'm caught up in my own thoughts too, but I miss us. Liam's expression softened as he listened. He squeezed her hands, as if reassuring her. I didn't realize you felt that way, he said quietly. I've been so consumed with work. I know I haven't been present. But that's not an excuse. Emma nodded, her heart heavy. I know we're both dealing with a lot, but I want us to remember why we're doing this, to be together, to share our lives. I don't want to just be people passing in the hallway, or two people trying to solve problems separately. I want us to be in this together, fully. Liam pulled her into his arms, holding her tightly. You're right, he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. I've been so focused on trying to fix everything outside that I've forgotten to fix what really matters, the connection we have. I'm sorry, Emma. I never want to take you for granted. Emma closed her eyes, feeling a sense of relief wash over her. For the first time in a long while, she felt the weight of their distance lift. It wasn't gone entirely, but they had taken the first step in acknowledging it. It's okay, she said softly, her voice steady. I just want to make sure we don't lose sight of each other. You mean everything to me, Liam. Liam smiled, brushing a strand of hair away from her face. You mean everything to me too, he replied, his voice filled with sincerity. We'll get through this together. I promise. The next day, they made a conscious decision to prioritize each other. Liam took the day off work, and they spent the entire day together. No phones, no distractions. They went to a local park, walked hand in hand, and had lunch at a small cafe. They laughed, talked, and simply enjoyed each other's company, like they used to before all the pressure from his work took over. It was a small but powerful shift. Emma could see the difference in Liam. His smile was brighter, his eyes lighter. And for the first time in a while, Emma felt like they were truly present in each other's lives. The next few weeks weren't without their challenges. Liam's company was still recovering from the deal, and Emma had her own responsibilities to manage, but they were no longer just existing side by side. They were living, truly living, together. There were still hard days, of course. There were still moments when the stress of their respective lives would make them both retreat into their own worlds. But they had learned something important. They were in this together, no matter what. And that, Emma realized, was everything. It was more than enough. The balance they had found, the connection they had reignited, felt like a solid foundation. One evening, as they sat on the couch together, Emma leaned her head on Liam's shoulder, feeling the warmth of his presence. "You know," she said softly, "I think we're going to be okay." Liam kissed the top of her head, his hand resting gently on hers. "Yeah," he replied with a contented sigh. "I think so too." As the months passed, Emma and Liam's relationship continued to thrive, built on a foundation of trust, love, and mutual respect. The challenges they had faced together had only made them stronger. Emma's fears of not being enough slowly faded, replaced by the belief that their love wasn't about perfection. It was about the journey they were taking together. It wasn't always easy, of course. There were still moments of doubt, moments when stress from work or personal worries crept in, but they had learned how to support each other through those times. They learned to communicate, to be vulnerable, and to never lose sight of the most important thing, their love for each other. One evening, as the sun set behind the city skyline, Emma and Liam sat together on their balcony, the cool breeze ruffling their hair. They had just returned from a weekend getaway, a quiet retreat in the mountains, and they were still savoring the peace of that time away. Emma looked at Liam, her heart full. "I can't believe how far we've come," she said softly. Liam smiled, his eyes warm as he turned to her. "I know. I've been thinking about that too. It feels like everything has changed, but in the best way possible." Emma nodded, taking his hand in hers. "I used to be so scared of change, but now, I know that the best things come when we take those chances. We've built something beautiful, Liam." Liam squeezed her hand, his gaze softening. "We really have. I don't think I could ever be more grateful for everything we've gone through. I'm glad we didn't give up on each other." Emma smiled, a light laugh escaping her lips. "You know, I was always afraid that I wasn't good enough, that I'd mess everything up. But you showed me that love isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up, every day, for each other." Liam leaned in, kissing her forehead gently. "You're more than enough, Emma. You always have been. And every single day, you make my life better just by being in it." Emma felt tears well up in her eyes, not from sadness, but from an overwhelming sense of gratitude. It had been a long road to get here, filled with moments of uncertainty, but now, she could see the beauty in everything they had overcome. Together. "I love you," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "I love you too," Liam replied, his voice low and steady. "Forever." As they sat there, wrapped in the quiet of the evening, Emma knew that this was just the beginning. Their story was far from over, and there were many more chapters to be written, but whatever life threw at them, they would face it together. Their bond was unbreakable, their love unwavering. They had found their way to each other, and in each other, they had found everything they ever needed. Their love story wasn't about perfect moments or easy paths. It was about building something real, something lasting, in the face of all the challenges life had to offer. And as Emma and Liam watched the stars begin to twinkle in the sky, hand in hand, they knew that their love would continue to grow, as beautiful and enduring as the night that surrounded them.